spoopy. Drunken unicorns, bored dragons, and sorcerers in tight leather pants. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about I hesitate to call it an autumn TBR because it's more like a mood board of books that I would like to read in autumn, but I know I won't get to them all. They're just kind of like options of books that I'm considering reading, if that makes sense. I've got 10 books. That's a lot for me, especially because I am considering autumn to be September, October, November. You may say, okay, 10 books in 3 months, not a big deal. I am the slowest reader you will ever meet. That's just facts. So, this is truly more of, it's hopefuls. It's autumn hopefuls would be a more accurate title for this video. 3 of these books I already talked about because they are new releases for September. So they are actually included in my September releases, my September fantasy releases video, which I will link. So you can go watch that if you want a more detailed explanation summary of those books. They are The Pomegranate Gate by Ariel Kaplan, A Sword of Bronze and Ashes by Anne Smith Spark, and The Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft. And I am so excited for all of them. The Hexologist is weird witchy vibes. We've got A Sword of Bronze and Ashes, which is Celtic folklore inspired dark fantasy. And then The Pomegranate Gate is a historical sort of like fairy tale retelling vibe. And they all have like more dark atmospheres, so I felt like they would be really good to add to this hopefuls list, especially The Pomegranate Gate, which has been likened to Naomi Novik and Catherine Arden, who are 2 of my favorite authors of all time. So, very excited for that book. Excited for all 3 of those. Moving on to books that are not new releases. Some of these books I have the physical copies of, and some of them I need to either get from the library or do a little shopping spree. We'll see. First, why don't I have it with me? We've got Every Heart is a Doorway, which was actually recommended in a video that Christine from the Roomies Digest, she did a video on cozy fantasy, and she loved this book. I was sold on it immediately. It's really short. It's a cute little length. The summary reads, Eleanor West's home for wayward children. No solicitations, no visitors, no quests. Children have always disappeared under the right conditions, slipping through the shadows under a bed or at the back of a wardrobe, tumbling down rabbit holes and into odd wells, and emerging somewhere else. But magical lands have little need for used-up miracle children. Nancy tumbled once, but now she's back. The things she's experienced, they change a person. The children under Miss West's care understand all too well, and each of them is seeking a way back to their own fantasy world. But Nancy's arrival marks a change at the home. There's a darkness just around every corner, and when tragedy strikes, it's up to Nancy and her newfound schoolmates to get to the heart of the matter, no matter the cost. Oh, it just sounds so yummy and dark and mystical, and I liked how Christine talked about the sort of like stolen innocence of it all, feminist themes throughout it. The way I'm actually going to read this book is my friend and I, my dear friend and I, are going to read alternating chapters and then send those audio recordings to each other so that we get to read the book to each other and add in our commentary, and oh, it's gonna be so cute and I can't wait. Oh my gosh, this even has illustrations in it. I didn't realize that. That's gonna be my first read. This is actually a definite TBR. This is not just hopeful, it is confirmed. The next book is not so small. It is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. And I don't know what it's about, to be perfectly honest. I mean, but look at that cover. Ugh. I treat November as like my dark academia month. Like that's the month when I like to really dig into the dark academia of it all. So this might be my November read, especially because this is a book that is over 500 pages, which is a month's worth of reading for me. So, two strangers find themselves connected by a vast and mysterious library containing many wonders and still more secrets. In this powerfully moving first book in a new series from the international best-selling author of Red Sister and Prince of Thorns. The boy has lived his whole life trapped within a book-choked chamber, older than empires and larger than cities. The girl has spent hers in a tiny settlement out on the dust, where nightmares stalk and no one goes. The world has never even noticed them. That's about to change. Their stories spiral around each other, across worlds and time. This is a tale of truth and lies and hearts, and the blurring of one into another. A journey on which knowledge erodes certainty, and on which, though the pen may be mightier than the sword, blood will be spilled, and cities burned. Ooh, that just sounds so good. I love books set in libraries, books about books. It's so mysterious. A place where nightmares stalk and no one goes. It just sounds so appropriately spoopy. Spoopy being my word for things that are creepy but not scary, because I can't handle scary. I really can't. I can't watch horror movies. I can't watch thrillers. The closest I get is like the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. I can watch Stranger Things, but sometimes I have to do like a, you know what I'm saying? So I like me some spoopy stuff. This sounds pretty spoopy. What do we have next? The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik, who I said earlier is one of my favorite authors. I'm not kidding. She's an auto-buy author for me. Auto-buy. But the Scholomance trilogy, I've read the first two books and this is the third. And I am in love with this world, with Elle, the main character, and her like grumpy sunshine dynamic with, what's his name? Orion. It's set in a magic school where the students go to escape the horrors of the outside world, which is our world, but there's hidden magic. And the monsters in this world feed on magic. So young magic users are like thrumming. They have all of this untapped raw magic in them. They draw in the monsters and they're the most at risk because the monsters can like sense how much magic they have. So they go to this school, which is it's a building in a void. I don't know how else to explain it. The school is it's set in a void. There are no teachers. The students are just trying to survive because they are technically protected from most of the monsters, but there are still monsters that sneak their way into this school. And it's many, many levels. So you start at the top as a first year, and the entire building will rotate down one level each year. So you get closer and closer and closer to the bottom, and when you graduate, the way that you graduate is trying to get out of the school. It's so complex, and the world building is so cool. The magic system is so well realized. I think that a lot of people would think that it's a little too meticulous in its descriptions of the school and how survival works. Elle is a main character who I personally just love so deeply. She tries so hard to put up this hard facade of somebody who is not a good person, not somebody you want to be around. But at her core, she is so innately kind. She is just trying to survive in this school, which is trying to kill all of its students, basically. The school itself is not. Throughout the first two books, it's just chipping away at her hard exterior and showing her that she can depend on other people. She can put her trust in other people and have other people trust her in order to survive graduation. It's so complicated and little details about where to sit in a classroom, because if you're too close to the door, then something could come and grab you. If you're too close to a vent, same deal. That kind of thing. You have to be first in line in the cafeteria, or maybe you don't want to be first in line because there could be monsters camouflaging themselves as food. The hierarchy of the kids in the enclaves, which are these really elite groups of magic users outside of the school. The kids who are guaranteed spots in those enclaves because they are going to inherit it from their parents. They came into the school with advantages. They have a lot of privilege in the school. So the dynamic between them and the kids who do not have a guaranteed spot in the enclaves, and those kids who are not of the elite trying to gain their favor, I love it so much. And the last book ended on such a cliffhanger. I mean, Naomi Novik did do on her Instagram live last year, and I did do a reading vlog about it. She read the first chapter or two out loud on those lives, so I do know what happens in the first one or two. I can't remember if she read 2 chapters or just 1 of the Golden Enclaves, but I have to know because somebody really important might be dead and I can't handle that. Anyway, I could talk about this trilogy for hours and we don't have that kind of time, so we are gonna move on to another book. Oh, I have it. I have never read Neil Gaiman, and I just think that is a crime, so I really want to read Neverwhere this autumn. Look at this pretty copy. Isn't it gorgeous? I don't know what it's about. Let's read the synopsis together, shall we? Richard Mayhew is a young man with a good heart and an ordinary life, which is changed forever when he stops to help a girl he finds bleeding on a London sidewalk. His small act of kindness propels him into a world he never dreamed existed. There are people who fall through the cracks, and Richard has become one of them. He must learn to survive in this city of shadows and darkness, monsters and saints, murderers and angels, if he is ever to return to the London that he knew. A fantastic story that is both the stuff of dreams and nightmares. Oh, it's Neil Gaiman's first solo novel, urban fantasy. Oh, it just sounds so spoopy. I know that this sounds a little bit scarier than the other books that maybe I have chosen, but I really want to get into Neil Gaiman. I also want to get into Terry Pratchett. I started, what is it called? Reaper Man? About death, retiring. And I might add that to this list, actually. Reaper Man. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Well, I can't find it, but that is another one that is kind of autumn spooky vibes because it's death that I would like to read. It's a shorter read, so I'm gonna spontaneously add it to the list. But so Neverwhere and Reaper Man, Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. I also want to read. I have a couple of like middle grade books on here. I think in some schools of thought, Every Hearted Doorway is also middle grade, but I really want to read Between by L.L. Starling. It says, a bewitching, cozy, fiendishly funny cautionary tale about the perils of gate-crashing fairy tale kingdoms, particularly ones with drunken unicorns, bored dragons, and sorcerers in tight leather pants. Between is the spellbinding first novel in the Chronicles of Between fantasy series, filled with feisty, fairy tale savvy heroines, swoon-worthy sorcerers, slow burn romance, morose minotaurs, and bawdy witches. It's a laugh-out-loud fairy tale romp. I mean, they used the word cozy and fiendishly funny. It sounds like a movie that I would want to watch this season, you know? It kind of sounds like, I don't know why it reminds me of like a Howl's Moving Castle sort of vibe, but that's the feels that it gives me. Oh, it has dragons in it. Dragons and witches. I mean, I'm so sold. I think this one is short-ish as well. No, it's not. Yeah, no, it's 750 pages. So that's gonna be a challenge, but it just sounds so good. All right, so this one, The House Witch, is actually a recommendation that I got from Leonie, the book Leo, one of her most recent videos. I think it's her autumn TBR, or just like, it's a video about autumn books. She mentions this in that video, and the title says it all. It's about a cozy witch living her life in a house. It says, a heartwarming and humorous blend of fantasy, romance, and mystery, featuring a witch with domestic powers and the royal household he serves. Dinner. I just realized that it's about a male witch. That's so cool! Yes! Gendered terms are archaic and we don't need them. When Finley Ashawan, maybe, joins the staff of the king and queen of Daxaria, he's an enigma. No one knows where he comes from or how he came to be where he is, which suits Finn just fine. He's satisfied simply serving as the royal cook, keeping nosy passersby out of his kitchen, and concocting some truly uncanny meals. But Finn's secret identity doesn't stay hidden for long. After all, it's not every day a house witch and his kitten familiar Kraken take to meddling in imperial affairs. As his powers are gradually discovered by the court, Finn finds himself involved in a slew of intrigues, going head-to-head with knights with less than chivalrous intentions, helping to protect the pregnant queen, fending off the ire of the royal mage, and uncovering a spy in the castle. Ooh. And that's only the beginning, because Finn's past is catching up with him, just as his love life is getting complicated. Oh, it doesn't say queer, but I really want it to be queer. It sounds so cozy. I've never really been a person who likes cozy mysteries, but this sounds exactly like they made a cozy mystery for me specifically. So thanks, Delamach. Thank you to that author. I just want to live in the cover. Please. I have a meeting in 6 minutes and I need to get through one more book. We actually have 2 more books to talk about. Thorn Hedge by T. Kingfisher, which is another author that I really want to get into. But I think that this one, I'm not going to read the whole summary because we are running low on time. But this one, I believe, is a retelling or a reimagining of Rapunzel. And it's about a princess trapped in a tower, but she doesn't want to be saved. Throughout the years, people keep moving into the area near her tower, and she's like, I don't want to be discovered. And she isn't until a knight stumbles across it, and he's like, oh, I must rescue you. And she's like, you really don't need to, though. I love that it's turning the sort of princess trapped in a tower theme on its head. I'm very intrigued by this one. The second adjective, which is used to describe this book on Goodreads, is horror, but I think it's a lighter horror. I think I can handle it. I also want to read Fledgling by Octavia Butler, which is about a fledgling vampire, but she's black. That's not a thing in literature. I'm so excited. I can't believe nobody told me about this book. I had to find out about it myself. And I'm very excited to share that with you all because I think more people need to know about this book. I mean, Octavia Butler is a household name, but I feel like we only really talk about Kindred, and she's written so many bangers, okay? And I'm sure Fledgling is another one of them. Oh, I'm so excited to read some, definitely not all, but some of these books this autumn. Did you add any of these to your TBR? Is there anything that you're like, Kat, you need to know about this book because you're going to want to add it to your autumn TBR? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video if you enjoyed it. Give it a little thumbs up because algorithm and stuff. Hit that cute little bell for notifications. And I love you so much. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Stay cozy, y'all. Bye.